Each year the PSVR's library grows more and more, and this year has brought us a ton of high quality games. I think it's been the best year for PlayStation VR so far. So I thought it would be great to do a top 10. So after a lot of work and thinking, here's my top 10 PSVR games of 2018. Cancel your gym membership and buy Creed Rise to Glory. Survios is a brilliant VR developer, and they've been releasing hit after hit, and Creed is no exception. The boxing mechanics are amazing in this game, and you'll be sweating more than ever while doing it. The game has a story mode, multiple difficulties, and an online versus mode. The game has it all, and it's a great exercise. As someone who has hardly played any PSVR horror games, this game was a treat. The persistence has managed to make me enjoy being scared.
Oh my gosh, that actually scared me. I'm scared, get the bed.
It's a randomly generated survival horror game that gets quite challenging. The game knows how to make intense moments, and it's just so much fun to play and explore the dark hallways of the persistence.
The dark wood falls before me, with broken bow and blackened leaf.
I love hopping into a VR game and being immersed in the story, but I had never experienced an immersive VR story where I wasn't the main character. Instead, I was following and supporting the main character. This character was a mouse named Quill. Moss is an amazing game and shows how good you can make a game like this work. When I first thought of VR, I always thought of first-person games, and never wanted to play a third-person game, but this game showed me that they can be great. It has amazing visuals, a great story, beautiful soundtrack, and a satisfying experience. It may be shorter than every game on this list, but this game really deserves its spot on the list.
What you want now, be somebody who will love nobody. Do what you want, gotta love what you want now.
One of my favorite video games is Mirror's Edge. The movement and creativity in that game is amazing. And while we don't have that game in VR, we have something just as good. To the Top is a parkour game that has amazing movement, levels, and an extremely fun online mode. Mastering the movement system is great and really rewarding, especially when you're zooming past your friends online. Want to feel like an awesome tactical soldier? Then play Firewall Zero Hour. Squad up with 3 of your friends, or even random players, and defeat the enemy team. Firewall demonstrates just how well multiplayer works in VR. And the aim controller is perfection with this game. The maps are detailed and unique, the gameplay is extremely fun, and it just never gets old. So grab your aim controller, invite your friends, and go shoot down some enemies. Just don't forget to look for the signal jammers.
Nothing could measure the kind of strength inside our hearts. It's all connected.
A lot of people dismiss this game. I often hear the words, "It's just Tetris." And in my opinion, it's not just Tetris. It's so much more than that. It has an extremely well done soundtrack, the visuals are mind-blowing, and has plenty of content. And the whole experience comes together to create the best version of Tetris. And one of the best games I've ever played. This may not be at my #1 spot, but at times I feel like it should be. The main reason why it's not higher is because it doesn't use VR as well as the other games do. I should just stop talking before I change my mind. Before we get into the top 4, I just want to say that these next 4 were extremely hard to choose, and because of how good each of these games are, my opinion on their placement could change at any time. But for what I think right now, this is my top 4. A lot of people dislike the Move controllers. They don't have any analog sticks, the tracking system isn't as good as others, and the button layout is confusing for most. But the stars aligned in this magical game called Beat Saber showed everyone that the Move controllers can be perfect. And on top of that, it's a fantastic game. You slash blocks to the beat of the song with your two lightsabers. It's simple but extremely addicting. You'll find it hard to put down as you try to get S rank on every song and reach the top of the leaderboard so you can brag to your friends. It's such a great game and everyone should own it.
And I suffer, but I ain't gon' cut you, 'cause this ain't no place for no hero. This ain't no place for no better man.
Just when I thought I had played all of the best games of the year, Borderlands 2 VR released. And while I'm only a few hours into the game, I'm in love with it. The guns, movement, and graphics are great. The combat is a blast, and this is just another example of a port done right. And while a lot of people were disappointed with the exclusion of multiplayer, I didn't mind, because I've never played any of the Borderlands games. So to just have the single player alone is mind-blowing. I don't know if this would rank as high if I had already played Borderlands outside of VR, but I'm really impressed and can't wait to sink many more hours into the game. I always imagined that a 3D Mario platformer in VR would be amazing, but not as amazing as Astrobot Rescue Mission. Astrobot took the 3D platformer genre and innovated in many ways with the PSVR. The levels are amazing and unique, the controls are precise and simple, the bosses are great, music is fantastic, and it's just an overall spectacular game that every PSVR owner should experience. My PSVR Game of the Year is Wipeout Omega Collection. After a lot of thought and narrowing down, I realized that this is my favorite PSVR Game of the Year. I really had a hard time deciding between this and Astrobot, but the deciding factor for me was the replayability and continuous enjoyment. After you finish Astrobot and find some of the collectibles, there isn't really much to do. But with Wipeout, I keep coming back time and time again. Whether it's to play more of the single player or play against friends, there's nothing better than moving past all your opponents at top speeds, while making tight turns and using every power up to your advantage. And the free VR update to Wipeout Omega Collection does just that. The game has 3 previous Wipeout games remastered into one full game. It has a big campaign and online multiplayer, which is where the fun really happens. Starting a game or tournament with a bunch of friends in Wipeout is like nothing else. It makes for an extremely fun and really intense VR game, which is why it's my PSVR Game of the Year.
I'm yours forever. There is no end in sight for us, nothing could measure the kind of strength inside our hearts. It's all connected. We're all together in this love, don't you?
Nah, Tetris is my Game of the Year.